everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of College Football UK. As ever, I'm your host, Fletch. This podcast is brought to you by the Asleep at Work network, of which a new podcast has come out this week, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Today, we're here to talk about college football. Week one in the rear view, week two is where we're headed, and we're going to talk about all of it. So much football has taken place over the weekend. To talk about all of this football that's taken place over the weekend with me is in screen order on my screen right now. We have Nick. How are you, Nick?
I'm fine, thank you.
Lovely stuff. Also, to join me to talk about all the football is Sam. How are you, Sam?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Right, and that's the two sad people after the football out of the way. On to the happy person we have in the bottom right-hand corner, Groovy. How
Oh,
are you, Groovy?
Mm.
he's still drunk from the weekend. Leave him alone.
Leave it, give it to me, boys. After last year, come on.
Notice only two of us are willing to represent our teams in our behind us. I know Sam can't, like,
Did you
but
celebrate with a chocolate by any chance?
Oh no, come on now, Nick. It's too
He's,
soon.
he's still
Still
trying to
too
find it.
soon. Still too soon for the
Still
chocolate.
trying to find it. Oh,
We celebrated with a lovely new mug from our friends at Mugs NFL.
lovely. Was well with the t-shirt from Mugs
Mm-hmm.
NFL. Before we get going and before we even get into the news of the week, there has been a little bit of news. We have to remind you all to follow the Sleep at Work network on all of the social medias. You can find the links to do so in the description of this episode. Now, if you are on video only, as always, you are looking away from us. Turn around, look at Gary, look what Gary's doing, and then look over there. Right, you will see a bunch of boring text. Right, just click see more, go through the rest of the text, and in there you'll see some blue links. In the blue links, you'll see links to follow the Sleep at Work network. Then you will see links to follow the College Football UK podcast on our social media. Then you'll see links to follow all of these wonderful human beings. And do you know what I haven't said in a while? These absolute stunners on social media. And then you can join our free Discord as well, in which we have plenty of football channels to get talking about. The NFL season starts today, the day of release. The college football started 2 weeks ago. First full week start was last week, and we are well into the season now. College football, so much to watch, so much to talk about. So join us on this journey and do it in our Discord. One little announcement from the Sleep at Work network is we have just released a brand new podcast. That is called The Fantasy Den, and you will recognize three of the faces on here if you go and watch that podcast, although one of them will hopefully not be on there every single week. But Sam,
Oh, I
Gary,
hope not.
tell us a little bit about this brand new podcast.
Yeah, so it's a fantasy-based podcast where we talk about various different things that are all fantasy related. We'll give you sort of our hot takes and not so hot takes on who to start and bench. And eventually we'll get around to talking about various different other things that are all fantasy related. But if you go and watch it, you'll get to hear how much we all clearly love Sleeper and don't like any other fantasy football based app. Not that we are plugging Sleeper, it's just they are genuinely the best.
They are genuinely the only one that's worth using.
I do find it ironic that the fantasy football app of choice of the Sleep at Work network is Sleeper.
Yeah.
I do think it's lovely the way that seems to work. Okay, so yeah, you can go check that out on the Asleep at Work YouTube channel, or the links of which, again, if you go follow the Asleep at Work stuff, you will find it in there. Okay, so right, let's get on to the actual main stuff. The news this week. Shall we head over to Nick's news?
we'll start with some good news.
Hey!
Everyone needs a hero. Army safety Larry Pickett Jr., a second-year cadet, rescued a man from a crash car seconds before it burst into flames. So apparently he was assisted by his dad, who was also there, but the guy had crashed into what we would call a telegraph pole. And yeah, he was unconscious in his vehicle, and Larry Pickett Jr. was there with Larry Pickett Sr. And between them, they both pulled him out. So well done to them. Penn State are changing it up. They are swapping the big tick for the three stripes. So for those that don't know, that's swapping Nike for Adidas. Pending approval from the Board of Trustees, that will be a change that will be made as of next season. Penn State have been with Nike since 1993.
Since I was
Nike's
born.
Nike seemed to 93. Oh God.
Wow.
Wow,
That
make us
that
feel
that
old.
hurts. Wow.
Yeah. That just
I,
burned me.
That's
I,
just ouch. Just a side little comment like that is enough to literally floor
does it
half the hosts there. Thanks for
does
that,
it does
Sam.
it not help that I weren't even
No,
born yet?
no, doesn't no, we don't need to know that at all.
I think my mum and dad had only just got married as
You've
well.
had enough. You've had enough happiness for one weekend, Gary. You need some bringing down a peg or
Yeah,
two.
bring it. Wow. Wow.
So, I don't know what your preferences are, whether you're a three stripes man or whether you're a tick man. But
All the way. Just do it.
just do it.
I've always been partial to the three stripes.
I prefer the tick when it comes to footwear. I'll be honest.
Very much so.
So, right. FSU have been fined. They may be able to beat
Hey!
Alabama, but they can't beat the system. They were fined 50 grand after their fans stormed the field.
We'll take it.
So,
I think probably, should we say, probably the first of many schools that will find that fine reaching towards them on a Monday after a game at the weekend.
yes, but remember it goes up every time. So
Yes.
it's 50 grand this time, then it's 100 grand, then it's 150. You know, you
And
imagine you start.
all that money goes to the other colleges in your division as well, doesn't it?
Just
Yeah.
imagine you win all those games and you storm the field every game.
I don't think we'll do it
a
every
lot.
single one. I mean, it's just that one. I think because of the impact of that game. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Okay. While we're on FSU, some unfortunate news. Linebacker Ethan Pritchard is in a critical but stable condition after being shot on Sunday night. Back of the head, did you say, Gary?
Yep. Back of the head. Shot in the head. Back of the head.
I don't have any more news than that because it's all sort of cloak and dagger and privacy.
Yeah, apparently he was visiting family back at home. It was still within Florida, but Orlando way, I think it was somewhere. But yeah, it's come out that he was shot in the back of the head. That's what his father has come out and said. So he is stable, which is the best news that we could hear on this front. But it's a horrible news after a great weekend for the Seminoles.
Indeed. Missouri kicker Blake Craig is done for the year after tearing his ACL trying to make a tackle. When will these kickers learn they can kick the ball and that's it?
Let them just get out of the way. Just get out of the way. Kick the ball and get out of the way.
How do you tear your ACL trying to tackle somebody? That's crazy.
One got to assume he's attempted a tackle by attempting to get out of the way of a tackle and folded himself over his knee.
Quite possibly. You'd think he'd learn how to tackle, though, wouldn't you? All he's doing is.
You'd also
think
that Dre Greenlaw would know how to run onto a field without ripping
no,
apart his.
Way too soon. Way too soon. Way too soon for that.
Fletch, Michigan have failed with their appeal against linebacker Jashawn Barnum for his targeting ban. I didn't see it, so I can't comment on whether it was or it wasn't. But he will miss the first half of the Oklahoma game this week.
Yeah. When we get into the weekend football talk, obviously I'll give a quick mention to the Michigan game. So I'll mention that then. I'll talk about a bit more.
Yeah, I didn't see it, so I couldn't even tell you whether I agree with it or not. So
Sam obviously didn't see it either.
Well, Sam didn't see it. He only watches Texas.
Exactly.
Finally, 10 athletes, including 2 guys from Vanderbilt, are suing the NCAA in an attempt to force the ability to compete at the college level for 5 years rather than the 4. Now, the lawsuit is not challenging the removal of the eligibility rules. They are still saying that you shouldn't play for more than 5 years. They don't have a problem with that. What they are saying is if you are redshirted for your first year, that shouldn't count towards your 5 years.
5 years of
So if you
eligibility.
spend your first year as a red shirt, you still have 5 years left rather than just the 4.
Yeah.
That's the argument that they are applying in the law. They're not saying we should be allowed to play for 8 years if we want to. So, yeah, that is the news.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you very much, Nick. Anyone got anything else to add, by the way, that they've had as news over the last couple of days? No,
Nope.
it's much like kind of the NFL season as it hits this point, as we've had for the last couple of weeks. It's all football now, so any news, anything that really needs to be talked about will be talked about in this segment, which as we look to, when we look in the rearview mirror at the games at the weekend. What a weekend it has been,
What
by
an
the way.
opening. Yeah, what an opening weekend we got dished up this week. I mean,
Absolutely fantastic.
DAZN turned up. We all got to watch some absolutely stonking week 1 actions, apart from
Well,
Sam, who had to watch it
we
on other.
we nearly got to watch some, and then we had to wait for about 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that was. In fact, no, not even just that one game where they were well, not even just the Bama FSU game where we were waiting for the Tennessee game to finish, which I still watch most of the first bit of that FSU game. What's got me the most this weekend, and there are a couple of games on here that fit into this criteria. I want to make a plea to the NCAA, right? And to college football teams, especially now they're looking to go international. If your game kicks off at 1 a.m. anyway in the UK, when it says 1 a.m. kickoff, don't still be doing walkouts at 1:15 in the morning. Kick off at
Yeah,
1.
that's frustrating.
Kick off at 1 o'clock.
I'm
Kick off
pretty,
at your kickoff time.
I'm pretty sure the Texas game kicked off at like 25 past 12.
Yeah, because
It was ridiculously late.
like I get it. Clemson, the Clemson LSU game. I was watching. There was another game on at the same time which I was watching as well.
South Carolina.
No, it would have been. It would have been. I think. Oh no, it was the Michigan game. I was watching the Michigan game. They were both meant to kick off at the same time.
Yeah, but Clemson got a slow
Fine.
bus, didn't they? Let's be honest.
So, like, can we please just kick off at the kickoff time, or with it, give yourself 5 minutes? I get that you want to do all these big grand gestures. It's the first game back, especially Clemson LSU. It's a big game. It's a night game. You're putting on a show, but put on the show before the game's meant to start. Like,
Think of your audience, people. Think of your audience.
Do they get fined for that?
I don't know.
Probably.
Because I would have thought, we've just said they've got TV audiences waiting. So I would have thought there's something there about they should be aiming to be on. There should be something there in the rules about being on targeting, being on time, and what.
I
should imagine the
week-
TV audience
week
didn't
one-
mind because they could have thrown out a load more adverts, right?
I imagine week 1 as well, they probably aren't too fussed about it because it's the first game of the season. They want all these teams have got to
Do the
show
thing,
off
haven't
all
they?
of their new talent and all of that sort of nonsense.
But also, I
Yeah.
think the TV companies want to have the show bit on as well because of the stuff. I think it's just for some of us, it's just a bit more frustrating because, like you say, there's 20 more opportunities for ads. There's 20 more opportunities. But just kick off at the time, please.
It's like you said, it's a bit different when the kickoff time locally is 7 o'clock in the evening. Oh, we're not kicking off till 1:30. But
Yeah.
for us, it's midnight and you got to wait another half an hour. You think, you bastard.
Next.
But then saying that, in our sport, we have TV start times for football starts at an hour beforehand, and you have all the build up to it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you
but
kick off
in the Premier League, for example, it's all runs to time. All the teams are given a 15-minute time clock. They have to be out on the pitch with 5 minutes to go.
Hmm.
And how many times do you see the referee there with all the teams out ready to kick off, and the referee won't kick off yet because he's waiting from the signal from the TV people
Yeah.
because they
We
run
can't
the
kick
show.
off yet because we're not
So,
ready. The adverts aren't ready yet.
so you look at that for example as how it's run to time, and if you're late, you get fined,
Yep.
which is part and parcel of however many of the charges we've faced this year.
Yeah.
But
37.
if you're late,
Cheeky.
you're fined. But so I was just quite interested as to whether there are actually some rules, but how it's run, because
It's probably a financial thing, but it's like storming the field at 50 grand is you'll take it for the first week. If you get fined by the NCAA $15,000 because you ran overtime, are you really going to care about it that much when you've sold
Yeah.
your stadium out and blah 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 blah?
Yeah, I suppose.
It's one of those, right? Anyhow, but yes,
Yeah.
just for the sake of your international audience, NCAA, please kick off the time next week.
Yeah.
That's all we ask.
No, I want to apologise to one of the members of our panel here because we only have one place to start. The game of the week was number 1 ranked Texas heading out to Columbus, Ohio to face Ohio State.
Number 3 ranked Ohio State.
Sorry, that's it. Number 3 ranked Ohio State. And, well, that didn't go to plan, did it there, Sam? Ruined. That's
Leak
both
also
of us-
thought it went to plan.
Leak
6 out of
also
6
called
on
it
his
6
last
out of
day.
what?
6
What a
out of
mic
6 on
drop
his
from
last
Coach
day.
Corso. What a mic drop. 6 out of 6. That's how you do it. Not so fast, my friend.
So, Texas. Why is it short? Why is it not short? This is really weird. Why is this thing being weird? Anyway, Texas traveled to Columbus, Ohio, and Ohio State, number 3 ranked, and favourites going all the way up to on the day where Texas had flipped to become favourites. Ohio State walk away 14-7 winners, in which was a blockbuster, like 30 seconds of football, followed by a lot of not so blockbuster football. Sam, where was the game? Like, talk me through, as a Texas fan, where's this game lost for you?
There's a number of things, I think. I think the first thing probably is worth mentioning
It was a
is
touchdown.
what?
The catch that was not given a catch, that one. Oh.
The catch that wasn't.
Yeah, there was the Texas touchdown catch, but you're not seeing the clips that have come out of that where it looks like he's actually did catch it, and maybe I'm missing.
You mean
You've
the actual
confused.
the one?
You've
Yeah, the one
confused
that was
Sam now.
actually a touchdown. That was a touchdown because it was. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't quite get what that comment is, but yeah, it was a touchdown. And anyone thinking it wasn't just fucking dumb. So.
Well, that's social media. That's what hence my point. Everyone's going on the controversy of social media being slowed down to the nth degree of like, oh, it wasn't a catch. That's not pretty people.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably say there's probably because that's probably a lot of Ohio State fans probably doing that because they had their interception was ruled out, which was rightly ruled out as well. But I'm sure they'll have found a way to manipulate and make sure that was actually no, that was an interception. I mean, I think the biggest part of this game, and I think one of the things that a lot of people seem to be, and I heard this. I mean, we said it as well, and I've heard a lot of people talking about how this was going to be the reason why Ohio were ranked 3rd and all of this was because they had so many players that they got lost in the draft. They had loads of new players that they were bringing in, blah, 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 blah. And that didn't seem to always get translated over to us. And although we also had a lot of players missing, I don't think I heard anyone at all mention the fact that we were starting 4 new offensive linemen.
Yeah.
So the fact that wasn't being mentioned, but it was being mentioned for Ohio, was a bit odd, because we were in the exact same position as them. I mean, I've said from the start, I don't think we should have been ranked number 1, and a lot of people saying about obviously Manning, and the big thing on social media at the moment is Manning a bust and all of this nonsense. I think people seem to forget the fact that he's just gone and played his first game in possibly one of the hardest stadiums in the league, national champions, and one of the best defenses in the league. And, yes, there were moments where he played bad and his throws were bad, but you've also got to remember this is his first game. So,
Yeah.
That he'll learn from that. And, there's going to be elements where he needs to improve. But we also saw glimpses of absolute brilliance from him where he had those two throws, the one for like 35 yards and then the touchdown as well, which was a fantastic throw. So, he is going to show glimpses. And, it is just one of those things where the whole game was basically just two defenses, two solid, amazing defenses. And the difference maker essentially in that first half was a face mask. Those two defensive errors leading up to their touchdown.
I was going to say that you actually beat me to a comment. Not just in the Texas Ohio game, but I think as a generalization across the week, across the board, yes, there were a few games that were outliers, but most of it was solid defenses against solid defenses, and it was mainly mistakes that cost certain teams the points. I said
mistakes from the people in black and white, not just mistakes in general.
no, just wherever the mistakes come from, just mistakes in general. I said on the chat, because obviously me and Sam were watching the Texas game, and I said on the chat, I said this game is going to come down to who makes a mistake and who doesn't. And of the two penalties that cost Texas, as a complete neutral, I'm not balling on Sam or anything. As a complete neutral, I thought one of them was yeah. If I was an Ohio fan, I'd want that called. But if I was a Texas fan, I wouldn't want that called. That's one of those homer sort of penalties. And then I think the other one, which was the second one, I was genuinely sat on the fence going, I really don't know whether I could. I can't even call that as to whether it is or it isn't. It might well be another homer penalty in that if it goes the other way, then so be it. But I think Texas were unfortunate in at least on one of those. But I think what Steve Sarkisian tried to do is, from my point of view, watching is. When they started, it was like let's just run the ball for a little bit. Let's let Manning get settled, get calmed down, get used to the surroundings. And I think that run game initially just cost Texas a little bit of momentum because they weren't really getting anywhere. Because like we said, it was two good defenses. And while they're trying to let Manning settle and get into the game and get comfortable, that run game wasn't doing anything. And I think that's just what cost them to start with. Fair play to Matty P, because he had some defensive looks that I wasn't, you weren't sure. And he pulled out some stops in the second quarter where, Ohio just wouldn't budge. So, I think Texas can consider themselves unfortunate, but I do think Ohio probably deserved it in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I mean, for me, so I said this to Ollie, who's our resident Ohio State fan and Browns fan, is that Ohio deserved to win, in my opinion. I think they were just slightly better. They were better on offense than we were. There was some scheme plays which were brilliant that he managed to make use of against our defense. But the one thing that seemed to bother me the most, and it was annoying that Manning made some really poor throws that were just like they were very poor. It wasn't like a case of that they were just it was a slightly bad throw. They were easy throws that he missed, which was frustrating, especially on that last drive. It was more Sarkisian's whole approach to the game. Like you were saying, like he started off with the run game. That's fine, but Arch Manning, his style is also include him in the running game because you can see the way that that can open up defenses a bit where, do bring him into play. And we saw that a couple of times where he had to scramble and he made some great runs. So I think he should have used that a bit more. I also don't think that he seemed to his plays seemed very obvious, which meant that there were a lot of wide receivers were basically just marked out, were manned out the game, which I think you need to start. Like we used Wingo in the backfield a couple of times on screenplays, and it worked really well. Why didn't we do that a bit more? Why didn't we do, we see that Sark uses a lot of RPOs and stuff. We didn't see really much of that in the game, which I would have expected to see a bit more of. And I just think he played it very conservative, which then didn't help him in the long run.
Yeah.
So, and then
put you
obviously
kind of put you behind the eight ball, didn't it? After a while, as you say, because as Nick
yeah,
says, you weren't getting any rhythm, you weren't really getting any movement early on, and it kind
and
of
obviously
ended up
frustrating
forcing
on that
things.
4th and 1 because it was the most obvious like run play he was ever going to make, and it was never going to work. And that was what was one of those situations where what they should have done was taken their time, because they tried to do it fast, and Ohio were ready for it. You needed to step back and scan the field and work something better. So that frustrated me, and I think a lot of it was just opening game nerves and a little bit of naivety, I think, on Sark's part, and also a little bit of, like I say, first game jitters for Manning. But to be honest, I think it's that loss will do him, I think, more good than what a 50-0 blowout win against someone like Grambling. So to me, it's not great. It's not a good feeling, It's just, but it is one of those things where he'll learn bucket loads from that match.
The other thing, from Texas's point of view, you've lost. To be fair, you've lost a game to an out of conference team and a good team at that. So you haven't really cost yourself too much,
No.
because even the AP, the college football playoff talk about how they are going to take losses into account and consider who you've lost to. Well, in that case, losing to Ohio State in Ohio is not going to cost you too much. You only need to look at the rankings to see that the three teams that lost to ranked teams, i.e., Texas, Notre Dame, and Clemson, haven't dropped too far, because it's obviously the team that they lost to has been taken into account, and where they were, and where they were. So I don't think it's going to cost Texas too much in the long run, providing they don't have another a silly slip up somewhere else. You
Yeah.
go 11-1. I think you're laughing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, 10-2 is probably. I mean, we've got Georgia's probably going to be the other real tester, I think, and that could be maybe where we lose the other one. But to me, 10-2 gets you in the playoffs, and that's all that
But
matters.
if someone said to you, you're going to lose to either Ohio State or Georgia, you're going to win the other one. You're going to lose to one or the other.
Yeah,
Who do
I'd
you want to
rather
lose
lose to
to?
Ohio.
Yeah, because you lose to an out of conference game. The other one is far more important. I think you just sort of shrug it and go, "Wasn't our day." Move on, and onwards and upwards.
Yeah,
First week
Yeah.
jitters.
I was gonna say as well on this game, there were a couple of things that one. Do you understand how much I miss people cutting off to Taylor Swift by the time they cut off to Matt Patricia? The sixth time they cut off to Matt Patricia, my things nearly went through my TV at that point. I hate that man with every part of me.
I get that you don't like him, but he does
Give
look
him
very
his
different
flowers.
now.
He did.
He
He
does
did.
look very different now.
He
It's
still looks like the nasty little rat that he is. So
Really doesn't like him,
ah,
does he?
no,
that's
I
harsh.
really can't stand him. I really, 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 as a human being and as a football coach, cannot stand him. So I was desperate to see Taylor Swift at some point, and I don't like Taylor Swift anyway. So,
we did get to see
but
Matthew McConaughey though a couple of times.
that was delightful. That was delightful. But what I was kind of looking at was just I feel sorry for Arch Manning, right? I genuinely do. It was a bad game. Some of the decision making was terrible. The sidearm throws, I don't know where the hell they were
Well,
coming
yeah,
from.
that was, you could tell by that point he was trying different things, and it just
And
No,
That
it was
that that was
yeah.
his head. I think, like I said, that was head loss. He was having a bad game, and he just started doing stuff that
yeah,
he wouldn't normally.
I kind of get that he's trying to just like let's just get it out, let's just do things. But I couldn't understand it, especially when
Mm,
watching it. Just think like he's right there. Just
mm,
and some of the throws they were high, they were inaccurate, they were just seemed really odd. Um, but to an extent, and to a quite large extent, I do feel sorry for him because he didn't make this hype about himself.
No,
mm.
He's not coming. He didn't go round during the off season going,
I'm the Heisman
"I'm the
Trophy
Heisman."
champion. I'm yeah.
Vegas put him as the Heisman favorite. He was hyped up by everyone who knows the family name, and it was the whole like he didn't ask for
He
this.
was
He
the
didn't put this forward.
fourth coming or whatever it is. I can't remember.
Forthcoming
So,
because well, you've got
fourth
granddad, you've
coming.
got the two uncles, and then you've got him.
Yeah,
And he didn't do like none of this is his fault, and he caught a weird load of obviously fandom during the off season, but then every single person who was claiming him as the next coming of whatever the hell it is, he's going to be the next coming up. We're all over him on Sunday, pretending like he was the worst thing to ever come out of college football.
Yeah,
It's not his fault. Yeah,
I
okay,
mean
criticize the
that's
performance,
just
but don't have a go at him as if he's come out claiming to be the Messiah when all he's done is just play football.
who
so
was it? I saw someone say, and it might have been just making a joke, but someone said that Arch Manning is this year's Shador Sanders, and I thought that's a really weird thing to say because at no point has he had it, like, let's be honest, his dad's not been going around saying that he's the next coming,
no.
and he's not been pressing other people and forcing his son into being the Texas Longhorns starting quarterback. He's got there on merit because he is a top talent. Whether he has the name Manning or not, he was a 5-star recruit out of high school. Like, he had all the talent in the world. It's a game that hasn't gone his way, and he's made some really bad mistakes. But
But again, as
people,
you say, Sam, it's his first proper real start,
yeah, I mean,
and it's
he played,
against a bloody good defense in a
yeah, like
really tough stadium.
he's played some teams last year where he was the starter, and yeah, fair enough. I mean, half the teams weren't particularly great. This was his sort of first real test. The only other test that he really had in those sorts of games was he was a third down back in the red zone because they were trying to get like 1 yard because of his running ability. Like, it just, people need to calm down. And I mean, this is just the state of social media today, is that
Yeah,
it's, the moment that you're good, everyone loves you. The moment you're bad, everyone thinks you're the worst thing.
Yeah,
And,
calling
that
him a
changes
bust
week on
already
week.
is just
yeah.
insane. I mean,
But
Yeah.
it's the nature of the beast where everyone's looking for the lazy take that you can jump on. What I will say though is just a couple of things I want to add on here as well. Is just so uncharacteristically in that first half. By the way, I thought be objective here. Thought Julian Satan was actually very, very good. Didn't look it in terms of the stat sheet, but Jeremiah Smith with 3 drops, one of which he had it in both hands and just took his eye
Mm.
off the ball while it was turning, drop.
Changed his
Just
gloves
so
after that, didn't he?
he did. But
Fine.
just uncharacteristic drops. Just a lot of uncharacteristic little mistakes that Ohio State were making, particularly in that first half. Now, don't get me wrong, I thought the Texas defense was fantastic all game. Tackling was brilliant. Run stopping was very, very good. There were just a lot of the things that Texas's defense did was fantastic. And like you said, other than a couple of mistakes on one drive, we're
Mm.
talking potentially about a different game, and that's fair. But also, if we're saying Jeremiah Smith catches one or two of those passes that he
It's a whole
dropped,
different game,
we,
yeah.
we
Because
could be talking about a different game.
at least one of those he would have been in open field, and
Yeah,
he would have gone we would have gone. But I think one of the things it's always probably worth mentioning, and this is just because it is Jeremiah Smith, and everyone raves about him. He is a fantastic talent. That's 2 games in a row where we've played against Ohio, and he's been marked out of the game, which is
yeah,
the rule in terms of, if it was the one thing that we saw that Michigan did last year was basically just take him out of the game. And, yes, Carnell Tate's great, but he's not Jeremiah
he's not
Smith. And
Jeremiah Smith. Yeah,
that's the one thing that I thought we did really well, is take him out of the game and limit Julian Sain's targets.
You say talking of slaying, it was in the way that we said Manning sort of like Sarkisian put Manning in and just gave him a few run plays to let him settle and whatever else. Ohio, with saying, did the actual opposite. They gave him some nice, easy, early on, give him some nice, easy, very short, very easy throws out wide, out left, out right. They weren't far, they were only sort of 5, 6 yard, but it got him into a rhythm. It got him comfortable. And it's hard to say whether Texas should or shouldn't have done that, but I think it was two good teams going against each other, two cracking defenses.
Yeah.
It was never going to be a big scoring game, and I think even in defeat, Texas can hold their heads and say, right, onwards and upwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those games we can put in the rearview mirror and just mark it down as a loss, and we don't have to think about it now. Season starts this week.
The only other thing I want to say as well is the Carnell Tate touchdown. You can't account for someone catching the ball twice in one catch.
No,
That was fantastic.
that was
Very, very good. And there are catches, and we see them every week. There's a couple that are, again, in the games that we're going to talk about going forward. There are some catches where you just kind of, it may be a catch, it may not be a catch by the rules of the game, but you sit there going, just for the vibes, call it a touchdown.
Just let him have it.
I hate sitting there and saying it about that team, but you want those catches to kind of count just for the vibes, because
You mean
deserves it.
like when someone wins a Super Bowl after they catch a fucking catch off their helmet? Lucky bastards. You mean like
Not
that?
that you're still bitter about that.
No,
Oh,
I'm not bitter at all. Fucking
Let it
load
go.
of
Let it
shits.
go. Let it go. Remember, frozen. Just be like,
Let it
that's
go.
almost bad as the Saints being pissed off at the Rams. That
oh, I mean, yeah. I mean,
That
that
wasn't.
was.
hey,
Come on, now that leads
Anyway.
us nicely onto the
Well,
refereeing. Yeah.
yeah. Does anybody else have a specific thing to mention about this game? Because I found my own little segue into the next game.
No. Go on.
No. Right, Sam, you mentioned Jeremiah Smith and how you shut Jeremiah Smith down. Now, the two best offensive players potentially in college football this year, the ones that are not quarterbacks, you've got Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams, right? They're two cover stars of college football 26. Elite talent, ones that you want to go to the NFL early because they're that good. Well, you must think that over the weekend, both of them had blistering weekends, absolutely fantastic weekends, and put up video numbers. Now, combined, Jeremiah Smith and Alabama's Ryan Williams had 11
Who?
receptions. 11 receptions on over 20 targets. They combined for a whopping 73 yards and 0 touchdowns. Why? Why? Well, if Jeremiah Smith didn't do it, surely Ryan Williams would have pulled it up for him. No, they didn't, because a team that goes by the name of the Florida State Seminoles
The
put
Florida
some
State
whoop
Seminoles
ass to
open
the
a
Tide.
big can of whoop ass on Alabama.
They Alabama don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide, and then
Mm.
Florida
Then what
State go and
Tide?
piss on the Tide.
Yeah.
Talk to us about it, Gary.
Oh,
What a
there's
performance!
so many things to talk about. Just the chalk and cheese from last year, the tempo, the excitement that the offense has, the fact that we can throw the ball more than 4 yards forward, for a start was a big
the fact
plus.
that you can actually throw the ball.
Or the fact that we can throw the ball, yeah, absolutely. The defense that was playing like their hair was on fire, they were absolutely all over Alabama. Fair play to Alabama. Bernard had a stonking game, and somebody needs to pin that guy down. He had a flyer. But Florida, I think they were angry. They had a point to prove from last year. The coaching and the changes that we've done and the changes that we've brought in, very clever. I know we've talked about it before, Fletch, about the triumvirate, the holy triumvirate of bring in your head coach, keep your OC, keep your QB. We haven't done that. We've kept the head coach, but what we've cunningly done is brought the OC and the QB together, and you could see how much that helped.
Yes.
Tommy Castellanos, what a game. Talked the talk in preseason, gave it the big one about, Alabama don't have Saban to save them. They can't stop Tommy Castellanos. Who's the offensive player of the week this week? It's got to be Tommy C. So, I mean, he talked the talk and went out there and walked the walk in week one. Absolutely lights out from from start to finish, I thought, yes, there was one drive early on. Bama kind of went down the field, 7 points. It was like, okay. But that from then on, they just didn't get a sniff. Even when we muffed punts and whatever else, it didn't look like it was going to cause too much of an issue. Defense was on fire, and Tommy C had a day.
Yes, he did.
I'd never heard of this guy, but I when I was watching this game, there was one guy that really stood out for me in terms of he's a guy I would want in the NFL, and that's Usman Kroma. He is an absolute bull. I've never seen he obviously he is only six. I mean, he's 6'1", which is
But he
massive
looks,
for a running
he's
back.
just
He
massive.
he,
He looks short because he's huge, isn't he? He's
yeah,
just,
but he's so built, and I mean, he had a very. I mean, I know he didn't really do. I think he had 7 attempts for 31 yards. I know he didn't get a touchdown, but he looked very good, and he's someone that I'm going to be keeping an eye on as when he sort of starts. Well, through his college career, and then probably for someone to watch out in the NFL. I would
yeah,
reckon.
definitely got NFL potential there. Lucas obviously he's got absolute jets as another one on our side.
I'm certainly not gonna. I'm certainly not gonna sit here and pour water on the fire. Because I think obviously I think FSU deserve the credit that they get him for their win, but
It is only
Alabama,
week one.
yeah, but Alabama was so poor in the trenches, both on both sides of the ball. They were weak. They just didn't look like they had the fight in it. They looked soft. And to say that about a team on both sides of the ball, they looked soft. This game reminded me of the Vanderbilt game that they lost last year because in a heads up in the trenches when you wanted them to be not giving an inch,
stand up and fight
they
and be counted.
they
Yeah.
yeah, they literally lay on their back and let Florida tickle their tummies because they were poor. And
So like
I
they weren't up for the fight, it seems. They didn't really I think did they just think they were gonna roll in
I,
possibly
I think it
and
I think it was a mixture of A, it was the first game, and B, I think they thought it would be a bit more of a cakewalk than I didn't think they would think it was a cakewalk, but I think that they thought it would be easier than it actually was. And I think
yeah.
maybe that caught them off guard. And I think once you start losing the battles in the trenches, it's very hard to turn it around. And that was something that happened. But I do want to give a special mention to Jeremy Bernard because he was
Yeah.
brilliant. He
Oh,
was there.
he
He
was
was
fantastic.
absolutely
And we were still up and it looked comfortable, but I was like every time he's gotten the ball, it was like, can somebody just do something to stop that guy? Come on now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
is DeBoer going to last the season?
That's
I
a
don't think
that's a tough loss for them.
if they play like that every week, then definitely not.
I
Definitely
mean,
not.
looking at their schedule, right? They've got Monroe, fine. Wisconsin, fine. Then they've got to play Georgia. Then they've got to play Vanderbilt. Then they've got to play Missouri. Then they've got to play Tennessee, South Carolina, and LSU before Oklahoma. That is a gauntlet of fixtures. And having lost, no offense to you, Gary, but I think Alabama walked in there thinking, right, we'll beat Florida State. That means we can go into the Georgia game, and they expected to win that. Having lost that, and you think about the teams they've got, this could well be another year that Alabama don't make the playoffs. And I don't think if they are out of the playoffs by the time the LSU game comes round, I don't think he sees the
No.
season out.
I also think that
they're looking for a new head coach by then. Yeah,
there is also the scary realization that they could quite easily finish on a negative season.
Yeah.
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 Well, one of the things I wanted to look at when watching that game, there are certain. I had to go back and watch highlights because I didn't believe what I was seeing. When you think of Alabama football, even if they lose, you think tough. You think of, just the continuous relentlessness of an Alabama team, the discipline that they had under Saban, and everything that he built and everything Saban was about. they looked absolutely nothing like that all game. There were times when I was watching, you know, Florida State players, you were getting catches and then you were getting yak because just no one was really chasing down.
Yeah.
You had players giving up on plays. It's so far from what Saban's Alabama was that you've got to like. Saban didn't need, obviously he was getting 5-star talent all over the place because 5-star talent wanted to play there. But he's like he didn't need 5-star talent. He loved having those players who were 3 stars but worked their ass off
Yeah.
all game, and then you've just got players who just aren't working all game. They're
Yeah,
giving up.
there's been
It's
some
not
horrendous
Alabama
there's been
football.
some horrendous analysis done of some players' lack of
Yeah.
effort, shall we say.
It's
It was also bizarre that like you saw how Florida, well, after obviously don't talk about the first drive, but once once Florida got into the proper groove of it,
Yeah.
Alabama didn't seem to try and change it up.
no,
They just kept going with what their tactic was of how to stop it, and it was obviously not working. They just never seemed to change it up, or if
Yeah.
they did, God knows what they were trying instead because it still wasn't working. But you would have one of the big things that because Castellanos is a great dual threat quarterback. He's got the speed and he's also got the arm. But it just seemed like they forgot the fact that he had legs because they
Yeah.
just never seemed to be like
They didn't seem to spy him. They didn't seem to do anything to
there was no
prevent him
anticipation.
causing.
But again, I think it's as much as we can shit all over Alabama. You've still got to give Florida credit for the way that they went into that game, and
Yeah.
I think like you say, the way that they've gone from being, the game that you went and watched them over in Ireland and how bad that was compared to this game, like it's just like you wouldn't even thought that was the same
The
team.
same team. No,
But,
absolutely.
yeah,
I mean, they've gone from being a laughing stock and being talked about for all the wrong reasons.
Mm.
And in 1 week, they've changed the narrative to now being talked about for all the right reasons.
Yeah, I think that the worrying thing is we all bigged up Alabama's defense. If that's they're going to defend all year, we may need to apologize to our listeners for saying Alabama had a good defense because they're terrible if that's the case.
Or are FSU going under the radar and maybe going to cause a big upset throughout the year? Were they that good? I mean,
I think it also goes to show as well, by the way, just what the preseason rankings are so
rubbish.
They're just projection. They're just pure projection. There is so much that we do not know that you can't take any real preseason projection because a lot of it's based on last year. A lot of it's based on, oh, we believe that you've done quite well. This player is good. This player is good. But none of it's based on how you are actually performing at any point. This is where like week 6, yes, we'll still do the polls, but you don't take them truly seriously until week 4, until week 5, where we actually have the tape of the teams, where we actually have a true feeling of how the actual team is doing that year. So, and just I want to mention that I think we focus on the positive going out of it, and it's just how good FSU were. And that they were fantastic throughout the game. Have both of them just disappeared for you as well?
Weird.
No, I clicked the wrong button.
Right.
I don't know where Sam went. Sam and Nick both fell off literally at the same time. It's quite odd.
Yeah,
I thought it was my cat. I thought my cat had just pulled the plug on everybody.
I minimized the window by accident.
I think take the positives. FSU were playing hearts on the sleeve, lights out, big game, point to prove. Alabama rolling in. Everyone gave Alabama. Everyone thought Alabama was going to come in and roll them. I think that gave them.
It wasn't roll tide. It was roll over and have our tummy tickles.
Absolutely. And I think that was enough motivation for those boys to get up and actually prove them and smack a few people in the mouth.
Yeah.
Long way it continue, but it's a long season, and I'm still countering bowl eligibility 8-4 as a good season for the Noles. But this has set us up to absolutely have a flyer.
We had a good conversation about this game on the SEC preview as well. Well, we were talking about Alabama, and we all said to ourselves, well, if FSU can just cover,
Yep.
if they can cover the spread, that's a really good game, and they can count themselves to be like, yeah, we're doing really well. But then someone turned round and said on that podcast, and we all laughed at this person. We all thought this person was crazy. And I think even the person thought they were crazy at the same time and just said it'll all be over in week one when FSU clap Alabama. And I think for that, Gary, I'm sorry. I'm sorry
And
we
so you
didn't
should
take you
be.
seriously.
No, I mean, I called it. I mean, it might have been a throwaway comment, but it was, I said we were all giving Alabama all the extra kudos, but come week one, when they walk into Tallahassee and get spanked,
Yeah.
and proof of the pudding. I mean, granted, I probably didn't believe it myself. Hands up. I mean, I didn't believe it when I said it. I said it as a bit of a throwaway comment joke, but I'm loving the fact that it's come true, and I'm sure any other SEC non-Alabama fans are also loving week one's results.
Yeah. Going off to another game, which, as I mentioned before, seemed to just take an age to start, but it had massive implications. Brian Kelly got his first season opening win in a long, long, long time
Long time.
as LSU beat Clemson in the fake Death Valley in Clemson. I get there was another game on at this time. I was trying to get filling bits where I could, but I had a little bit more focus on my team who were playing at the
Mhm.
same time. So did any of you guys get much of this one in? What were your thoughts on it? Um, every time I looked, it seemed like just a real defensive battle.
I started watching it and I fell asleep, to be honest. Not through quality of the game. I just genuinely fell asleep because it was late.
It was like
Um,
the third game of the day, wasn't it?
yeah,
By the time you hit
but
that one, although it's a good game, it's one of those ones that it's on highlight reel type thing.
I mean, a lot of us went Clemson, and I think we all thought Clemson were going to win that game. But again, it was another low-scoring game. Two good defenses not giving much up. Battles in the trenches being won by both sides of the ball. Games like if you love the hit, if someone like me who's played in on that offensive line, those that central area where it all happens. When games are just stuck in that area, they're the good games.
Yep.
No one wants to see a 60 points odd win. You like the close games where it's all hit 'em,
It's all
rock
nip
'em,
and tuck,
sock
and
'em
it's
in
all
the yeah.
yeah. You want the arm wrestles, you want the defensive battles, you want the ones where it's who can hit the hardest, who can deal with the ups and downs, who can come through the adversity, and a lot of the games this week were like that. I believe there's some controversy over a refereeing call in this game that I haven't had a chance to pull it up, but I'm sure it's out there somewhere where I believe a touchdown was not called, where it was, from what I'm understanding, pretty clear that it was a TD. Sounded like the receiver carried the ball over the plane of the goal, then lost control of it, but then somehow that wasn't good enough to be called a TD. So a lot of controversy, but it's week one, and it wouldn't be week one if it wasn't any controversy. But yeah, again, as you say, Nick, two teams that are finding their way, two defenses that are on top, not a big blowout. I didn't have to think. We thought this would be higher scoring than the Texas Ohio game, and I think it was just, but it wasn't. Again, another big blowout.
Yeah.
I watched that supposed non-touchdown touchdown. He had 100% had control of the ball.
I'm watching it now.
He had 100% had control of the ball.
Bring it up, Fletch.
Hang on, it's on my phone. You guys carry on for a second. I'll try and get the video up on the interwebs.
Yeah, it's one of those. Okay, maybe even the referee's got to have a week where they get used to it, but that's like, come on.
Yeah, there was no it didn't even look like he was fumbling the ball. Like, you can understand it if maybe there was
A juggle, or it was,
but
yeah.
he had full control of that ball as he went over the line, and then it came out of his hand.
Yeah. So it should not matter because he's broke the plane of the goal, and that's it. That's all the ball needs to do.
It was one of the worst decisions I've probably seen in a while.
It's a horrific decision. That's
Non-decision.
awful.
Or yeah.
Well, either way, it's a decision to not call it a catch. Actually, my computer's just being slow. Give me a second, I'll pull it up. But my days, it's just terrible.
And that's not going to help, obviously, the controversy and the storyline around it. But it's one of those where it's just like, come on, you've got to be better. Got to be better than that.
Yeah, it just was. The thing was, it was kind of like, I suppose in the end it didn't really matter, but it's the principle, isn't it? You expect games to be called in a fair manner, and when things are
especially such a big game, right? I mean, it's
what if it had mattered? What if that would have been the winning touchdown and they didn't give it?
Yeah, it's all well, as you say, it's all well and good saying, "Oh, in the end, it didn't matter," but it could have. And at the time, nobody knew that it wouldn't matter. It's a shocker. It's an absolute shocker.
Right, I don't want the video to be off someone's TV. I want it to be an actual copy of the video.
Copyright law and all that. Not that they'd know from over here, but hey.
We've had the copyright before on YouTube, but I'm not really like it's not like we're making a ton of money off this video anyway. There's nothing to steal off of there.
I don't think a defeat. Just going back to Clemson, I don't think a defeat to LSU is going to cost them too much in the long run either. In the same context that we were talking about Texas and their defeat, I don't think that in the grand scheme of things, a defeat to LSU is going to cost Clemson too much.
There you go.
Troy, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, North Carolina. Well, that's a shit show. Boston College, SMU. SMU, Florida State, and South Carolina are the only three remaining teams that are ranked. That
now,
that Clemson have to play. So I'm certainly, I don't think anybody, whether you're a Clemson fan or not, I don't think you should be worried that your season's over after game one or anything just because you lost to LSU. I mean, I said to Fletch before the pod started, it wouldn't surprise me, if LSU go and win the SEC now, because they haven't got a huge hard schedule. Couple of games that could go either way, but if you split those, there's a good chance they'll go 10-2 quite easily.
Yep, and as we've just said, we don't think Alabama are going 10-2.
Right. So I'm gonna play this video. It's only 1 minute long. I'll probably end up able to cut it off early. So just there you go. We can see that.
Didn't play that smoothly, but
yeah, it's my computer's no, my computer does not like playing a video at the same time. Let it buffer a little bit.
There
we go.
But it's like Gary said, you really want the officials to. All right, you can make a call that's a 50-50 and some people are not happy about it or whatever. But calls like that, there shouldn't be mistakes being made. You shouldn't make mistakes like that.
Yeah.
No. I mean, to be fair, this is probably the game that everyone titled as the Battle of the Heismans.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I don't think either quarterback did any harm to themselves in terms of the long run. I think both played okay. Obviously, one better than the other. Nussmeier had a good game, but I think generally there was nothing that really stood out for me in terms of one of them was horrendous. It was just, I mean, Klubnik's probably, he only had 50% passing rate, which isn't great, but I don't think he necessarily played badly. He just didn't wasn't like a star. But
Um, yeah. So again, is there anything else anyone needs to add on this? The Battle of Death Valley. No. Okay. So moving on to Nicky, you ready?
Yeah, great.
I'm not skipping it. I'm not skipping it. We're
don't
not.
worry,
Oh,
we'll
we're
go
running out
through
of time. Oh, what a shame.
it.
In the
We'll go
third,
we'll go through it as quick as we can, Nick. Don't worry.
the
It's all
third
right.
top
You suck it
10
up and you get on with it.
matchup of the week saw Notre Dame travel to Hard Rock Stadium to face Carson Beck's Miami. Miami walk away with a 27-24 win. Nothing to be ashamed of here, Nick. It was a good, well fought game. Talk us through. I'm gathering you didn't stay up and watch the whole thing, but talk us through what you did get to see, at least if you did have to wait until the
No,
next
I
day.
had it on the radio. I had it on the radio, to be honest.
Okay.
While I was driving, I thought, in the same way that we talked about what Ohio State did and what Texas did at the beginning of the games, getting their quarterbacks into the game, Notre Dame kind of did the same. That CJ Carr, freshman, and and he's in that. Okay, so Marcus Freeman lines up some plays where CJ Carr gets to throw the ball. But in doing that, Notre Dame failed to establish the run early on, which we know is one of their strong points.
Mm.
Jeremiah Love couldn't get into the game because the early part of the game was all about getting CJ Carr comfortable and getting him acclimatized. And I'm not against that, but it had a negative effect on the run game because by the time you came to get the run game going, it was too late.
Mm.
When you talk about Jeremiah Love, and we've all said he's probably the best running back in the league right now. And when that man can't get the game going, it, it, you know, I get what they were trying to do. I'm not sitting here saying it was a bad decision. It's just a byproduct of the decision. Was one of your strengths was negated? I thought I was really impressed with CJ Carr to be able to lead that drive and bring from two scores down and lead your team back to, level. It The interception was, unfortunate. We talk about catches. You cannot account for a catch like that from Miami. Oh, I mean,
Yeah. That
it's
was OBJ-esque, wasn't it? That was
yeah. I
just
mean,
an
I went
absolute
in.
volley.
I know. I sat here last week and I said, "Oh yeah, Notre Dame are gonna win, win by two scores and what have you." And I can quite happily hold my hands up and say I was wrong, but I'm not I'm not sitting here thinking how bad Notre Dame were and how it's all over and everything else because I thought Notre Dame played really well. They weren't they weren't far off winning the game. And I genuinely thought out of these first two games, 1-1 is probably about fair. Now I expected us to beat Miami and then maybe struggle against Texas A&M, but so maybe it goes the other way. But I think it's annoying that we've now got this bye week after just one game because really you want to get back on the field, get back in the game and put it, and instead you're stuck at home. But it was very entertaining. Um, give Carson Beck his credit; he played really well. Um,
Is that more? That
and
was more like the old Carson Beck, wasn't it?
Yeah.
yeah,
It
and
was to
again,
script
like
though, wasn't it? It was a lot to script, I think. So I don't think he
yeah,
had to do any off script too much. So that plays to his strengths, obviously.
As I said, you've got these three teams that lost against top 10 ranked teams. Clemson, Texas, and Notre Dame. They're all still. I think they're all still in the top 10 or just about
Yeah.
ranked. So I think no harm, no foul. Pick yourselves up and move on.
Yeah,
I'm
obviously
not.
you've got the bye week this week. I think both. I mean, we're at back at home, but we're playing San Jose State, so that'll be a good way to lift the spirits. Um,
The problem Notre Dame have got is that if you lose to Texas next week and then you go on a run and win 10 games in a row and finish 10-2, the only team that's got any sort of credit, and even then that's from last year, is Boise State.
Oof.
You're gonna, they've just come off a battering.
We've
You
just got,
don't know,
yeah.
you don't know what they're gonna look like. If you go 10-2 and you've lost your two games against top ranked, against ranked teams, there's no
That's gonna,
guarantee that 10-2 would get as an independent would get you in.
mm,
So that this Texas game is coupled with Boise State's loss and their poor, if they have a poor form over the next few weeks until we play them, it really does put the pressure on. So I just think I'm not sitting here worried, and I'm not sitting here calling to change the QB or anything, because I don't think it's like that. I think you know two great teams played a great game, and no complaints. We just weren't good enough.
and like you say, in terms of the rankings, Texas 7, Clemson 8, and Notre Dame 9. So they're all still
Yeah,
top 10
yeah.
ranked teams. So
yeah,
Yeah.
And that makes sense because, strength of schedule, teams you play, but it is a worry for Notre Dame, as you say, Nick,
yeah.
if that's after this 2 weeks, you've got
who have
nothing.
Texas A&M got this week? Out of interest.
I'll tell you. Hang on. Texas A&M have got, because I saw it earlier. Um,
They've got
Utah State
Utah.
at home.
Yeah, so they're likely going to go into your game 2-0.
Yeah.
Um, sorry, boys. I've been a bit ill this week, so I had to just run off and take some taste the evil that is Benelin, and find it. It's the
Nasty.
worst. It's the worst. Um, has anyone mentioned the? I just want to give a shout out to the Miami running back, primary running back. Can I just give one
Nope.
shout? Shout out to my dad for 15 attempts, 66 yards. Congratulations, Dad. That'd be Miami running back Mark Fletcher, um, who just so happens to share a name with my dad. And the amount of I know what's going on. I know what's going on, but when they start talking, oh, Mark Fletcher, and he's broken through attack. I went, what?
But what?
Um,
What? That must be slightly
yeah,
disconcerting to say the least.
it's just one of them. It just doesn't register in my head. And I just doxed my dad's football, most of my dad's name. That was fun. But no, it was a really good game from my part. And I just want to shout out Carson Beck, by the way, who we all thought were just going and tanking it this year. And he looked damn good on quite a
Mhm.
few of those plays.
Yeah.
Sam said it's the Carson Beck of old.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
It's the Carson Beck that was Heisman nominee, well, Heisman projected and potential first round pick projected sort of performance. Not that he'll necessarily be the number one pick, but it's not going to hurt his case going
No,
forward
it's
if he
not.
continues to play like that.
No. Couple of shout outs on some other games this week. I do want to take a second to talk about Michigan, if that's okay. Also,
Go.
I've got all
Too
the
much.
powers of I've
Stop.
got all the hosting powers, so deal with it. That was an interesting game. Came out the blocks, looked absolutely fantastic. Bryce Underwood, by the way, as advertised, I don't give two craps what anyone says about our opponent. There are certain things where you can put down to poor opponent, and there are certain things you look at in a player and you can go, no, that's talent. And you can do the intangibles that you can look at, the touch, the touch on the pass, the weights on the pass, the whip and zip, the confidence in which he was in the pocket, the accuracy of the passes were fantastic and looked like if no one would have told me and I would have had no idea that that was a true freshman start in his first game, I would not have believed you under any circumstances. But I also want to give a shout out to the New Mexico team who ended up making it a bit of a game towards the end. It got chippy. The defense turned up. One of their touchdowns came from two terrible, terrible calls, which Nick brought up earlier. That wasn't targeting. I'm gonna say that actually, well, to the letter of the law, and if you meticulously to like the nth degree letter of the law, maybe. But that wasn't targeting. That was ridiculous. It was a wrap up tackle and helmets got caught because heads turned.
I
That
think the problem for
Oh,
me,
I've just seen
I,
it. Oh my gosh.
I've watched it, and I think probably what makes it worse is it's more the fact that I think the helmets are probably the first bit
Connection.
that hits first. I
well,
think
that's
that's
what I'm
the
Even
saying.
only
though
reason.
the Michigan defender is turning his head away.
Leading with the show, it was leading with the show. Just there are things that they just happen because of the way bodies move. There has to be intention in it for me for it to be specifically targeting or beyond egregious to the point where it's not intentional, but he's still leaning with the head. It's a wrap up tackle, and that should have been a scoop and score. At worst, it should have been a rough in the passer, but that could have been a scoop and score for Michigan. It ended up being targeting. Barnum was ejected. He won't play now against Oklahoma for the first half. That's a massive loss for that game, at least the first half, and one where we have to be careful.
Hmm.
And then a couple of plays later, New Mexico get a catch that was definitely, definitely not a catch, and then they score a touchdown off it. The touchdown on that play was, I will say this, an immaculately executed, fantastic play call. Uh, corner complete. They sold the run so well. Corners dropped. Took a corner number 16 came off his man on his own in the end zone. Little dink over the top. Done. New Mexico made it a game. And the only other thing I want to say on it is the New Mexico. Have any of you seen Dumb and Dumber? I imagine you have. It's a stupid question.
Hmm.
You know the guy who follows him
Look at
around
us.
looking for the briefcase? He's after the briefcase who follows him. Yeah. New Mexico Lobos coach. Can't unsee it. Spitting image of him. Spitting image, right? Um, so yeah, I just want to do that, and I want to say Bryce Underwood, the rest of the country, just watch out. But Bryce Underwood is that good, and
It'll
I
be
don't really
it'll
care.
be interesting to see how he fares up against a better defense. That's the only thing I would say.
But we'll get to talk about that in a second when we do get onto the week two stuff. Real quick, I want to go through Boise State.
Did we?
Ouch.
What the
By the
hell
way,
happened there?
did we mention Justice Haynes because he was brilliant for you?
Oh yeah, Justice Haynes
Three
is
touchdowns.
fantastic, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, three
Um,
touchdowns, 159 yards. I mean, he needs a mention.
It does need a mention. Absolutely, he was fantastic. The O-line was pretty good as well throughout the game. Um, and the block for his second touchdown, Bryce Underwood with the block, brilliant. Um, but yeah, Boise State just got
Handed.
their asses handed to him.
Yeah.
I we while you were away, I said to these guys about Boise State and Notre Dame. You know, after Texas, Boise State were at the time the only ranked team left that Notre Dame would play on their schedule. And when Boise State do that, you're like, that doesn't look good for us either. If we have to, if we have to run the table, so. Boise State were terrible. I don't know about running it back from last year. They need to run it back from about ten years ago because they were terrible.
They
It
were,
was just like they've forgotten to play.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or they've forgotten how to play without a star running back who you just give the ball to. That seems to be it. It was like they don't have Genty. Their 1-2 punch initially, I thought those two running backs they've got looked decent, but then they just stopped. Just nothing happened. They just stopped. It's bizarre. They just got absolutely pasted.
As is the case with a lot of football games, once your first 10 plays are done, you have the first 10 play script. Once you're off your script, anything can happen then. And Boise just didn't have an answer for South Florida. A South Florida team who, just before, like 4 seconds to the end of the quarter, had minus 10 yards in offense. Throughout the whole first quarter, they had minus 10 yards on offense. With 4 seconds to go, they run one more play for a 37-yard gain, and then it was goodbye Boise State, and USF took over. Massive, massive shout out to Bynum Brown. He went 16.
Didn't he look good?
16 of 24 for 210 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions as a passer, but 142 passer rating. And on the ground went 14, 43 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a long of 23. He
should have had 3 touchdowns.
Should have, yes.
Should have had 3 because that touchdown that got pulled back for the hold was, oh, come on.
Ridiculous.
Anyway, ridiculous.
So we don't want to focus too much on the game. We've got other things we need to get to, so we'll power through that. But yeah, Boise State, there will be no bigger fans of Boise State right now than South Florida, because if they can really make that win count by Boise State being very, very good, then obviously they have to go get some wins themselves. You never know whether they could make a push for.
Gary said about Boise State being one of those teams that were just missing the quality that they had last year. Georgia Tech and Colorado without Travis Hunter, without Shador Sanders. Georgia Tech gave them 3 turnovers and they still only took 7 points from 3 turnovers. Ooh. And Georgia Tech just ran them down. And, Haynes played really well. I thought Georgia Tech played well as well. So,
yeah,
Colorado and Boise State are both in the same bucket.
Yep. I thought,
absolutely.
To be honest, I did think Colorado State would tail off with losing those players. I think it was inevitable. But
both the 2 Heisman finalists, that's the final 2 in the Heisman voting, both gone from the teams, and both teams look like they're missing it straight away.
Who'd have thought?
So the only other game I think we need to mention before we move on to, because we are pushing on time a little bit now. Welcome to college football, Bill Belichick.
We said that we're not going to see the best. We're not going to see the best of Belichick till probably next year if he lasts that long. But watching that, he hasn't got that. It's like, okay, here's my Ferrari. I know how to drive this Ferrari. And I know that if I go in this Ferrari, I can get to that point in that much time. Yeah. Right. I'm going to try driving this Fiat Punto, and I'm going to leave the same amount of time, and I'm just going to assume that I can drive it in the same way. All that advanced stuff that Belichick knows in his head, the stuff that Belichick is good at, you can't apply at North Carolina because they don't know enough. And it's, he's got a huge job to do.
I think the problem is, like I say, he's so used to having NFL talent that he then potentially thought that would then translate into college football, and it really doesn't. And that's why, obviously everyone praises Sarkisian for his ability to have an offense schemed in a way that is college friendly, but also helps them learn towards the NFL. This is more like, this is what I want you to do because this is what I did in the NFL. You will learn it, but it's like teaching GCSE maths. No, sorry, teaching a degree level maths. to teaching degree level maths to GCSE students. It just is not going to work.
Yeah, but I think they've gone big on him here, Belichick and Lombardi and North Carolina as a school. They've gone big on their recruitment next year. They've sort of like left this year and they've just said we'll work with what we've got.
Feel your
Next
way in.
year,
We know
next
this is.
year is what and he's down to his 20 hours now, so he can only coach them 20 hours now. So he's back into his time limits, but he's gone. They've obviously gone big with the recruitment next year. They've got a lot of good players or a lot of good recruits supposedly coming next year. So I think, like we said, we will not see the best of Belichick this year, but I don't know whether we'll see Belichick next year as it is.
If it carries on like this, will he take 13 weeks of getting absolutely spanked and being laughed
Yeah.
at?
I
Yeah.
think what's probably, if we're going to talk about, obviously, they weren't good, but I think one thing probably worth mentioning is that quarterback, Max Johnson, had a relatively decent game for a game that, his if you look at just his stats, I mean, 11 attempts, 9 completions, 81%, 103 yards and a touchdown. I mean, you think how bad they were. If you're looking
There's
for
not
potential,
bad. Yeah,
if
there's
you're
some
looking for
highlights there, isn't it? Right? It's
a glimmer of hope, that's probably a
silver
glimmer of hope.
lining of a storm cloud.
Yeah, because if you look at, because he played two quarterbacks in that game. You look at the other one; he was bloody awful.
Gio Lopez,
Yeah,
who's meant to be the starter, he's named the starter, and he looked terrible. He went 4 of 10 for 69 yards
yeah,
and lost 10 yards on the ground.
Yeah, he will not be starting next week, I don't think.
Um,
And then obviously, of course, the meme started of Jordan putting a transfer portal request in straight after, which I thought was
That
highly
was funny.
hilarious.
I
It
did
was
find
the
that
other.
really funny.
It was the other one. They're approaching him, saying, "Can I have
Can I have
$20 for the
$20 for the-"
concession stand?"
And then he walks off. It's like, oh,
And the other one
uh,
of him making a phone call to Brady, and then Brady in the North Carolina gear.
in the
It's
Chad
like,
Chad Powers outfit. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So one good thing about it, it's spiced up next year's week 0 in Dublin
yes.
no end, because the revenge match, if you like,
Yeah,
is now on.
Fletch is going to enjoy being in Dublin for that.
he's not.
Apparently.
He's gonna be busy in Germany, isn't he?
I know he is.
Well, he
I know
thinks
he
so.
is.
He hopes so. He's already got the hotel booked.
I've already got a hotel booked and flights, so I'm still looking at flights every day waiting for him to go up. The couple of things though that again I want to mention on this one. One, I watched the game live. I watched that first UNC drive. They went through TCU like a hot knife through butter, and you thought, I was sat there thinking, bloody hell, Bill Belichick's got it, hasn't he? He's just got like the last year or so of his life is perfect. He's taken he's got the girlfriend that he's got, and now he's just come in and mastered college football in 30 seconds. Then TCU get the ball and they send him for a free and out, and I'm thinking, right, oh my date, right, this is gonna be boring. It's gonna get boring. And then it all just fell apart. And again, you get out of that first 10 play script, and it turns out that Bill Belichick didn't have the ability to transform. But and get the game back. And TCU were just a better team all over, everywhere on the field were just a better team. The other point I want to make,
It's almost.
so go on.
Go on. I was just going to say it was almost like Bill Belichick prepared his team and they ran those 10 plays, ran the 10 plays, ran the 10 plays, ran. We are going to be perfect at these 10 plays. And he's perfect in those first 10 plays because he has ran those 10 plays down the throats of the players and they are perfect for the 10 plays. And then as soon as it comes to, well, let's open
Player number 11.
Yeah, let's see what.
Oh, we got to do what? What's that? Yeah. Can't we just do the first 10 plays again, please, coach?
TCU's social media was impeccable.
They were waiting for this game. Fair play to them.
I want to see what the draft the drafts looked like on Twitter before that game, because that must have been,
What has been ready
if
to
they'd have
fire
lost,
those?
the amount of tweets that would have been deleted.
Delete from
That was
draft.
fantastic. And I want to give a shout out to Max Johnson, though, who went out last year in, what was it, the first game with a right leg injury, missed the whole season after having surgery. If you watch during the game, they showed a picture of the scar he has all up the entirety of his right leg.
Yeah,
Came out and played
hip to
football.
knee, wasn't it? Hip
Yeah,
to
it's
Pretty
knee.
nasty.
much.
It is nasty. Yeah.
It was, and then to see him get back on the field, to be making passes, regardless of the result, I am so happy for Max Johnson, who probably went through a lot last year in terms of thinking that his football career was dead and done and gone. Um, Absolute props to him. I know it must have been emotional for his family to see him get back out there. You can't help but through all of that be really happy for the young lad. Um, so there was that, and then UNC, the stadium was packed
Mhm.
until about the third, until about halfway through the fourth quarter, and then it was
Until it wasn't packed. Yeah.
empty. But yeah, it
I mean,
was
and I just wanted to give a mention out to the wide receiver Jordan Dwyer as well. I mean, he had 9 catches, 9 receptions for 136 yards and a touchdown. And you look at, I was looking at their stats, and there's 3 players I can see were all 100% receptions for targets, and there was one that was 75% and one that was 60%, and you can just see how well they did on offense just by looking at the numbers, and you just think,
Yeah.
you know. But that was I always think it's impressive that you can get 9 for not, like, 100% of your targets you catch them. I always find that really sort of impressive. And there were 2 there. There was like I say, the other one was DJ Rogers, the tight end. So
yeah. Um, I think that's going to be it. Again, we have to cover some week 2. We have to go through this next bit. So if we need to move on from week 1 now. Um, so just to do our little segue in between, we've got our little graphic here on the screen. The AP poll for the top 25 post week 1. Any surprise that Ohio State comes back in at number 1?
no,
Nope.
Um, or Penn State, anything there in the AP poll shock you at all? Um, yeah, at all.
How, in a weird way, I'm shocked that how high Florida State have come in. Yes, I know.
I'm surprised at how high they are.
Yeah, Yes, I know it was Bama. I know Bama were 8th or whatever they were, and therefore now they've fallen down. But to go from outside the top 25 to suddenly being, I mean, even in 11th in the UK and Ireland poll and 13th in the AP, I'm a bit surprised by that.
Pretty mad, to be fair.
That is pretty bad.
Given the
That is
fact,
a mad jump.
To be 11th, I think is a bit crazy, because at the end of the day, Iowa State have won 2
2
games,
games.
and one of them being against Kansas
A ranked
State,
yeah.
a ranked conference team.
Yeah.
And I just think that, to me, the Iowa State have been, yes, you've done well in one game, and yes, it was against Bama, and I get that, but I think that discredits a lot of the teams that were already above them, and probably deserve to also maybe be in there as well. I do like the fact that Temple have made it into our top 25, because that's probably the first time. Is that Temple? It's not Temple's, is it?
Tennessee.
We've got Tennessee, and we've got Texas Tech with the T's.
Texas Tech is the one I'm looking at. I thought it was Temple. Very similar.
Yeah, so I go up one sec. That's the AP one. If you're looking at the screen, this is the AP poll. If you want to continue looking at the AP poll for a sec, press pause, because I'm going to go back to the UK and Irish college football media week 1. Okay, next, sorry.
No, I was just going to say I didn't have Texas A&M in my top 25, and apart from that, I had pretty much everybody not far off where they were.
Fair enough. I'm surprised to say, like, I'm gonna say it. You can call me a homer, call me whatever you want. I don't think Ohio State showed enough to be top. I think both Texas and Ohio State should have fallen. Because again, as I said, you go up pre-season is based on pure projections. Week one, you can base it off what you've seen. And from what I saw from both of them, yes, both defenses look very, very good, but I didn't see enough to have them both as a top five team. And I get you're going off making the project, you're going off the projection rather than what you actually saw, I think, for the most part. I had, oh, sorry, I had Penn State for me as number one. Because I said they,
I think
yeah,
probably the one thing that's put Ohio State where they are is the fact, and I think this would have been the same either way. Whoever came out of that game was going to be number one ranked.
yeah,
It
but
was
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Yeah, and that's it.
It
Yeah, I
didn't,
don't.
it didn't matter
the-
how the game went; it was going to be that way
oh
because,
no,
unfortunately, that's just how this works.
Yeah,
But
no,
I mean, I'm a bit surprised about Oregon because I thought Oregon, although they weren't up against a strong team, but then again, neither were Georgia. I thought Oregon put on a bit of a show. So I'm surprised in the UK one that they are on the second line. I thought they'd have been. Where are they on the AP poll?
Same place.
same place.
Same
same
place,
place.
six. Okay.
So 6, 7, and 8, 9 and 10 are all the same teams, just South Carolina for the UK and
Flipped.
Ireland.
Yeah.
South Carolina are 9, Notre Dame are 10, whereas AP poll they're flipped. But no, I get it, and I totally agree. I know that's the way it works. I'm not daft. I'm aware of it. I just similar to the way Nick was talking last year, especially about how like why don't the wins count as wins, and why do we have to go through the who they beat, who they didn't beat? I think I'm going off not what the preseason poll said. I started this week going, okay, now I've got tape and now I can make that judgment. And I didn't want to do. I don't care if I had to bump someone down 20 places because that's what I saw. I kind of tried to go off. That's what I saw. Maybe a little
Mm.
bit homerism in the fact that I bumped up Michigan to 11 and I had them up at 23 last week, but. And that was done well. I'm still very, very high and hot off what I saw from Bryce Underwood this weekend. I'll admit that. But I do nothing in there apart from again maybe Florida State jumping up that high in one go.
Yeah.
Which, but again,
I think when I put my poll in, I think I can't remember because you put them in. I think I put them in at 19, maybe 18,
yeah,
19. I thought
I think
that
I
might been okay-ish.
think I put them in at 23rd.
Yeah.
So again, sort of nearer the bottom, but I think it's more the fact that when we first probably looked at this, if you're looking at teams of where FSU probably were, they were probably low 30s, start 40s maybe, just
I
because of how bad they were.
Yeah, I would have put them probably in
I put
lucky to be in the
FSU
top
at
50.
6. I put FSU at 16.
Yeah.
So
I had
had them,
Arizona State 10, Illinois 11, South Carolina 12, Michigan 13, Florida 14, SMU 15, and Florida
FSU
State
16.
16.
truthfully, I can't remember what I put in because I threw it in and then it didn't take
It is a problem sometimes, isn't it? You forget to copy yourself and you can't remember what you did. But yeah, as you say, pre-week one, I think FSU would have been lucky to be top 50. So
Yeah,
they've jumped a long way up.
to jump that far up. And yes, I get it. It's Alabama. Like Alabama were ranked in the top at least top 10,
8, weren't
maybe
they?
even
Top 8.
top.
I think they were.
Yeah.
I think they were 8th.
So
Yeah, 8th ranked. So yeah,
but then you look
it's
at
a
other
massive
teams
win.
yeah, it is a massive win. But then it's do they deserve to be over the likes of Iowa and Michigan and Tennessee and Arizona State in that? I'm not too sure.
No, I'm not too sure.
So,
I'm with you. I think Iowa State, they've done more. They've got 2 games, one against Kansas, one against, who did they beat this week? They beat somebody quite convincingly this week, didn't they? So yeah, I'm not surprised. I would have put them higher than FSU, but hey, I'm taking it. Long may it continue.
I will say I think that as a whole, Florida State probably should be above the likes of a Michigan, because again, if I go off what I saw at the weekend, Florida State were impeccable on all aspects of the ball. They were a very, 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 very good football team on Saturday, and absolutely that's what needs to be taken into account. And if we want to add in the opposition, you want to,
It multiplies up a
I'll
bit, I
give
suppose,
Alabama
doesn't it?
some
Yeah.
sort of props in that they are Alabama. They did it over a much better opponent, and the difference between the Michigan and Florida State scores is Florida State scored 3 less points, but Alabama are a much, 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 much better team
Allegedly.
than the New Mexico. Well, we'll see by the end of the year. But
also, just to confirm, looking at number 21 there, the MacGuffin stays as expected in Florida.
Yes, the MacGuffin is in the MacGuffin remains. But okay, getting on to week 2 to talk about the MacGuffin. Obviously we'll see how this looks next week. Getting on to week 2, we'll start with, just to get on to week 2, we'll try and fly through this as much as possible. Here is your Saturday schedule in the United Kingdom and Ireland for free. You can watch all of this for free from 2 p.m. on Saturday. We have college game
You
day.
just need an account on DAZN. That's all you need. Sign up. Just sign up for an account. It's free for now to watch. So please, to ensure that they stay showing it, ensure that they keep showing this stuff, sign up and watch the damn things.
So, well,
Oh,
this
look,
graphic.
I can actually watch Texas.
You can actually watch Texas because
And I can watch.
That's all I'm going to
Michigan
watch. I'm not going to bother watching any other game.
Absolutely not. We know that. We're all fully aware of that. One thing to say, if you're new to college football and you thought week 1 was the way it's always going to be, this is the reality. You get weeks in college football where you have some barnstorming games, which are like must-watch, must-see TV. Then sometimes, unfortunately, you get weeks where they are less so, shall we say. And I think week 2 is a bit of an anticlimax.
Unless you like to watch big scoring games.
Yes.
If that's all
this is an offensive-led week. You will see big scores this week. If you're playing fantasy, you're going to be doing well in this one. Your Fantrax score and your Fantrax teams may do well this week.
Yeah. So, Sam, I'm going to tell you this now because, like, I'm not doing this. Last year, we had one weekend where we were bitter enemies all weekend. Michigan played Texas, the Lions played the Rams, and Kennesaw State played the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. We had this. Now, I sat there last week and I was on your side. I was with you all weekend because you played our rival, and I wore an orange Barcelona shirt because it's the only orange I own. I stood with you last week. You're going to stand with me next week while we play your rival, right? I'm just saying, we've got each other's backs now after last year. But we have, so the graphic needs finishing. If you are looking on YouTube, this is a slightly unfinished graphic. I need to put the actual rankings on for the teams.
I was going to say, you still got number 1. Keep it there.
No, you've got this is number 1.
Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Michigan, Oklahoma.
There's a lot of number 1 ranked teams there. It's impressive.
So I do need to update the rankings on that. But we've got Illinois, Duke at 5:00. Also, San Jose State at Texas at 5:00. Utah State and Texas A&M at 5:45 p.m. At 8:30, we've got Ole Miss versus Kentucky. 9:15, we have the MacGuffin match where USF take
Florida
on
battle.
Florida. Then we have Michigan taking on Oklahoma at midnight. Arizona State, we get a bit of Kenny Dillingham on our screens as well. Take on Mississippi State. University of Louisiana Monroe take on Alabama, and then Syracuse
looking for a bounce back
at 1:45, and then at 3:15 in the morning we've got Syracuse at BYU.
Stanford
at BYU. So Syracuse are orange, aren't they?
Yes, big oranges. Yep, that's the Stanford Cardinal tree.
Yes.
Looking at that, go on.
I was going to just say, because obviously a couple of these games are on our predictors. So the Illinois, Duke, and Michigan, Oklahoma. Just as a little bit of a fun thing, when I was trying to set up all of the stuff that we do for this, it got to me having to download the Oklahoma logo, and my phone physically wouldn't let me do it. It wouldn't let me download it.
It's like, no, you can't have it. Even your phone knows it's like you hate Oklahoma. You cannot have it.
Every time I clicked save to photos, I think my phone just went and just decided
get out, can't have that. Yeah,
so
interesting. It's some interesting games. As I say, maybe not the quality of last week. I am intrigued by the Battle of South Florida, to be honest. I think that's going to be an interesting one. As you say, the MacGuffin riding on it, USF coming off an absolute flyer. Nick, from your point of view, you probably want the Gators to batter USF, right? To kind of offset the Boise State loss. I'm not entirely sure how it works for now. It's an interesting one. That one catches my eye. Illinois Duke. Obviously, I'm going to be watching that one rather than the totally one-sided Texas get right game. I
Well,
I'll be
expect them
watching.
to absolutely roll that.
well, one positive to having Illinois at Duke is one, I think it's a -2.5 on the spread, so that is going to be a close game. It's in Duke. Duke are a tough team, notably, but for the UK fans of this game, you might know him from the all name teams, but memorable factor, London's own memorable factor, is a linebacker for Duke, so we'll get to watch him on the zone this week. Uh,
Excellent.
we'll get one of our own in. So I think that would be a very close game though. I can I Illinois were pretty good last year. They've still got something to build on, still got a bit to do, but that should be a good, tough, close game. Like you say, the Texas San Jose State
Target
probably
practice.
going to be a rout a little bit.
Yeah.
We
Mercy
Uh,
need it,
game potentially.
we need that. Manning
Yeah.
needs it.
Yeah, he needs to get his confidence. He needs to sling the ball around, score loads of touchdowns,
Yeah,
feel good
he
about
needs
himself.
at least. I'm expecting at least 3 passing touchdowns for him tomorrow in that game.
Yeah.
yeah,
At least.
and a good few yards on the ground, and a good few, two
I
200
think
plus
what we
passing
just need
yards.
to do from that game is to basically just Sarkisian needs to show what this offense can do, because I think after that first game, there's a lot of question marks, especially around the wide
Mm.
receivers.
You've got to take the
Obviously,
shackles off take the shackles off
yeah,
the
we've
playbook. You
got
think?
to,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I get that it's going to be a cakewalk. It's expected to be, but I'd just like to see what this offense truly can do and how they probably should have. Obviously, they wouldn't have approached the game like this week, well, last week with it, but at least maybe show what they could have included
Yeah.
and done a bit better.
Absolutely. Other than that, I think Ole Miss Kentucky might actually be quite an interesting game as well. You'd
Mhm.
expect Ole Miss to kind of run them a little bit, but I don't know. I'm not the world's biggest fan of Ole Miss, and after watching how Kentucky did Georgia last year, that's got to be a fun game to watch. I really,
Hmm.
really, really think it's going to be a fun game to watch as well.
And,
I think
and Kentucky did really well. Was it against Tulane or Toledo?
Lane, I
Toledo.
think, wasn't
It
it?
was
Oh,
Toledo
Toledo.
because
Toledo.
Mm.
by the way, that was it. One more thing is going back to week one. Shout out to Tulane, shout out to Jake Retzlaff, and screw Northwestern. As the road team get to choose the jerseys that they all wear, right?
Yeah.
For the game. Tulane requested that to honor the 20-year anniversary of Katrina, they wanted to wear white jerseys like the Tulane team 20 years ago wore in their first game after Katrina. Northwestern said no, and then screw Northwestern. Tulane battered him.
Battered them.
And my favorite quote of the whole weekend is, "If you disrespect the city of New Orleans, that's what happens to you." So yeah, I just
Fair
just
play.
wait to
Fair
shout
play.
that one from
Good
week
shout.
one.
Also,
Also,
going back to week one, that leads on to the pick'ems, I guess, doesn't it? Because we do need to give you your flowers.
I also just wanted to, because I know we didn't mention it, but just because we do have at least one listener who is
Still with us.
follows this team, and that was Appalachian State getting a resounding victory against Charlotte in a 34-11 win. I just wanted to mention them because they played very, very well.
Yeah. And I'm looking if I can stay up and if I'm awake enough, but I doubt it because it's midnight and I've got a big day next on Sunday. That Arizona State game should just be an absolute offensive overload, and I hope it will be because I think pretty sure I've got the Arizona State QB and the Arizona State wide receiver in my Fantrax team.
Yes. Actually, the only game there that's top 25, there's the only game that top 25 all weekend is the Michigan Oklahoma game. I don't know what to expect from the game. I would hope that like we had 31 different players on defense last week. We need to cut that out. That doesn't do well for like kind of the consistency on defense and keep. We can cut that out. I think that could go down as a really, really close game. Again, offensively, both teams have something to offer. Defensively, both teams have something to offer. Could be a really good chess match. But yeah, you never know with games like this. You
And week
just never
two, as you
know.
say, you're still finding your feet and whatever else. It's an interesting one. It's that is one where it's a tough one to call. You might just favor Oklahoma only because it's at home. I
Yes.
don't know what the lines and whatever else are, but usually, if that's the case, it's probably something like Oklahoma by 1.5, which shows that nobody really knows and they're getting just a slight bump because they're at home. Bless you.
Well, we consider a 3-point swing for home teams, don't we? In the
Give us a field goal usually, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, in favor of a home team. So I will be, if I forget this up now. Okay, so no, it should be in this list. The line is -5. So Oklahoma -5. So when you consider home team 3-point advantage, it's like a 2-point swing, which I think is absolutely fair, by the way. I do think that's fair. I
Yeah.
am a homer, but I'm also not like I'm not really ridiculous with it. That's very fair. These are two pretty well matched teams.
Yeah.
Um, what else is there? There's no games on Friday that are online anyway. There's James Madison, Louisville, Western Illinois versus Northwestern, Northern Illinois, Maryland, and
Mm.
Eastern Washington, Boise State, all on Friday night / Saturday morning.
Yeah. Nah. Might catch those on Saturday mornings highlights. There's none of
Probably
those
going
are.
to be best.
It's going to be best. So after week one, where it was a bit full on and like we had the zone, we got football to watch. Week
Yeah.
two's a bit like, and there's some replays that we can use and maybe the
I,
quick catch ups. Go on,
does
Nick.
Zone not covering ESPN2 games, or is it literally just ESPN? Because they're not covering. Are they covering ESPN Plus games as well?
I have no. All I know is they're
Don't know.
getting whatever feeds the
Whatever they
ESPN
get.
give them.
Right. Okay.
So
They did have some extra games last week, late on. I think I can't remember. I
yeah,
think a few games got added to their slate later in the week as it got closer. But I don't know. I think what there is what there is for sure. But they maybe
You
do a
get what
few
you give
extras.
it. You get what you're given.
Get what you get, right? And stop complaining about it. Like last week, everyone was like, "Oh my god, oh, we still can't get to see Ohio State, Texas." You wouldn't have got to see that anyway because it's on Fox. We never get Fox over here. Just come on now. But
um,
anyway, how did we get on
so
with the pick'ems
I
then,
was say,
Sam? Last week,
Sam, we really need to know how the pick'ems went. Who won the pick'ems, Sam? How did the pick'ems go?
As you'll probably guess, Fletch won last week with a score of 6. It does mean that the overall table, which we will put on to social media at some point, is fans' choice are still top. They are now joint top with Fletch on 10 points. Nick signed third on 9 points, and then everyone else is on 8 points.
Did I only score 4 this week?
yeah.
No, you scored
No, I
5.
scored 5.
Oh, yeah.
I
So
thought I
you're on
scored
10.
5 last week.
Not bad.
We're still working out administrative kinks,
So
and
I am
Still,
on 10. 5 last
You
week
are
and
on
5
10.
this
You're on
week.
yeah.
10 as well.
But I
So-
got 5 this week, so dragged me back into the mix a bit.
talking about administrative kinks, I want to do my little, my post-win speech. I want to shout this win out to administrative errors that accidentally put, even though I voted for Notre Dame to win at the weekend, the administrative error saw me apparently vote Miami. We live by
You
the
lucky
graphic, we die by the
bugger.
graphic.
Fix.
I would,
Fix.
Fix.
excuse me, I didn't create this graphic.
I
I'm
did
sorry, he fumbled the ball. He didn't have full control over the goal line.
I didn't make this graphic. I cleaned a little
Targeting.
bit up, but I didn't put
Mhm.
no Miami in this one.
I blame it down to the fact that when I was trying to do it at first, I saved it and then went back on it, and none of the images were appearing, and I don't know why they weren't working. And I got really frustrated, and then was trying to do it really quickly.
Gary, what did these two say 20 minutes ago? Oh, you're my brother. I support who you
I
you
support.
know.
I've
And
got
then
your back. Yeah, I've got your
there's a
back. I expect you to
mistake
have
that
my back.
just so happens to
Just so happened to favour Fletch, and
But
he just so happened to win.
The problem is, wouldn't it have made more sense for me to do it for me so that I was higher up?
That would be too obvious, though.
Yes, it's too obvious. And we know that later on in the season,
I don't want Fletch winning it. The whole thing. I want to win.
He's never going to win it. Let's be honest.
Can I
Egg's
just
going to
say,
win it. Egg's going to win it on a late run.
I sat there like I put the graphic out and I went, and I should have checked. I just replaced a couple like the logo that Sam had put in the Miami logo. I replaced it with my Miami logo because it just worked a little bit nicer. And I put the graphic out and then sat there and went, hang on. I feel like an idiot now with Miami on my name. I feel like such an idiot. And I spent half the weekend going, oh God, I'm gonna look like I think. Well, watch that game and then walked away
Look,
thinking, oh, what?
it looks like I'm going to look like I know what I'm talking about.
I look like a fucking genius here. I'm
Like
absolute
a
genius.
genius. I say that Notre Dame going to win, but actually, put your money on the U.
I meant that. I
Either
meant
Never bet
way,
against the U.
this week I will be a lot more attentive and a lot more double checking to make sure so that no one gets
Also,
free picks.
is there a way of defaulting the Google form to send your copy to when you send it? Because I put mine in and I don't even remember who I clicked now.
I'm pretty
No,
sure
I
you
can just
can.
send you. I can just send it to you.
Yeah. I need to do that. I
Um,
need to remember to do that for the AP poll though, because I keep putting that in and then just go and send it, and it's like, oh damn it, who did I
Yeah,
put?
that's what I did.
so what I do in my AP poll, so I know what I've got.
Yeah, I'm the same, Fletch. I've got it written down here and on paper. Good
Old
old
school,
paper.
old school
I
Mancunians.
say that at
Well,
11 o'clock this morning is the first time I've ever done that. Um, so, right, okay. So what we're ending on is I won last week on the pick'ems, thanks to
Mhm.
administrative error, which is my favorite kind of error. And well, we've got 10 games to look forward to. What are the games again, Sam? Just remind us one
so
last time.
this week,
Yeah,
This
uh,
week you've got Illinois Duke. I think you had Michigan,
we
Oklahoma
definitely
was
have
in
Michigan on.
there.
We'll
so,
cover all
so
that.
Fresno State, Oklahoma, Fresno
I'll
State,
go
Oregon.
through. I'll go through the list as it is recorded down because it's easier. I've got it on games starting. So Baylor, SMU, Illinois, Duke, Iowa against Iowa State,
Mhm.
Liberty against Jacksonville State.
When I
Uh,
saw that logo, I said to myself, Liberty, Liberty, Liberty.
Texas State against UTSA, Kansas against Missouri, Fresno State against Oregon State, Army against Kansas State, Western Kentucky against Toledo, and Michigan against Oklahoma, with the tiebreaker being on that Michigan game. Now, I know that probably a lot of people, obviously, if they are following this, will notice there's a few teams that have been in there twice. I am trying to avoid not having the same teams in twice, or at least, within the space of a few weeks, not having the same. It is just kind of difficult this week because there are so many games where they're too obvious for us to have them in, and I want to try and keep it as competitive as possible. So
Yeah.
usually it'll be mostly different, and I'll try and include teams from all.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be
All
honest. If you put
conferences,
Arizona
really.
State, you've got Texas, you've got Alabama this week. We're all
Yeah.
picking them because they're absolute cakewalk games, aren't they?
I'm disappointed we're 2 weeks in and you haven't got Appalachian State in yet.
Well, they're on my list, but it's not. There's a game that I've got in mind for them. There's also a game I've got in mind for Kennesaw, and there's also a game I've got in mind for Louisiana's Raging Cajuns. So,
What about the Fighting
don't know.
Camels?
Yeah.
Oh, the Old Dominion.
They're FCS. We don't count them. They don't
Old
get
Dominion
included.
needed some
Old Dominion
representation
will
as
be in
well.
there as well. When I find a cakewalk game, I'll throw them in.
It's just a cakewalk game for off Dominion.
Right.
But yes, I will try and keep it
Right.
so that we're getting a mixture of teams in there. It's very difficult at the moment because there's not very good games.
Not very good games in week 2. But if you want to come and join us, you want to come and play the pick'ems, come and join us on our Discord, right?
Yeah.
Fletch, it'll be on the
Link
Discord.
in the bio on the description of the episode. With that being said, I think that is time to call it a day. We spoke for a long time, and we deserve to. Nick deserves to go get his 37 minutes of sleep. We all deserve
He needs
to
his
go
beauty
get
sleep.
the rest of our sleep. So,
His booty sleeve.
General booty. Moving swiftly on before we go down a
We
rabbit
will
hole there that we don't
see-
need to be in.
we
Well,
will
we've
see
already
you
talked about
next.
kinks. So.
Oh, wait. Oh, hang on. Do we want to end the episode here? Can I just
Yes,
talking
yes,
kinks?
we do. Yes, we really
What are
do.
we talking about?
Yes, we really do. We really need to start it because next ears have just put talk
If-
about kinks and booties.
If you want
Just like
the
we're talking
episode,
about
if you want the episode on kinks, you'll have to subscribe to our Patreon.
Patreon. Yeah, which is
We'll have to.
college football after dark. That could be really disturbing.
Yeah,
No wonder
brought
I
that
didn't
up.
get asked to take part in the fantasy app because I thought it was a different fantasy.
I've got a few of them apps. And
Moving on.
we will see you next week as we look to review week 2. Now, we've said some things about week 2. You watch this week be one of the best weeks ever. You watch a ton of upsets happen. You watch just some absolute barnstormers of games take place. But either way, we'll be
It's
here
the joy
anyway
of
to
college
talk
football,
about
isn't
it.
it?
We will be here to talk about them either way. And then we will be talking about the week 3 matchups as out of conference games begin to wrap up just before we get into in-conference play, which is where things really, really, really get interesting. And we will see you then. And yeah, links in the description. Go check out Hurdle the Lines preview show tomorrow. If it's Friday, it's already out. And
Don't
the new
forget to
The
go and
Fantasy
check
Den
out the new
podcast.
Fantasy Den. Rah.
That's a way to end it.